map, we was born in the margins. Grandma with a fan, whole row full of martyrs. Preachers say repent, judge say charge them. Same rope, same gavel, same target on our fathers. Concrete cotton, we was chained to the projects. Food stamp books, broke school, broken prospects. Still we sang songs in the shotgun duplex. Trouble don't last, but it sure came ruthless. They built their thrones on our unpaid labor, turned our grief into glamour, our pain into paper. But the last gon' laugh and the first gon' laugh. This run gon' end today. Babylon. Babylon, Babylon gon' heard sirens sing like a counterfeit choir. Wrong names carved in a chalk outline flyer. Judge bang wood, but the books say higher. Every crooked law meet a holy empire. White stone steeple, brown hands in the rafters. They wrote our death in their history chapters, but we still shout loud, still flip them factors. Blessed be the broke, that's the new hereafter. Babylon built off a black child's coffin, off a grandmother's tears, off a father's losses. But the scales tip slow, then they move like coffins. When a Trump sound once, every fraud start coughing. I see chains fall off in the middle of the service. See the last bank close, all that greed make them nervous. This the verdict, kingdom for the ones they deserted. When the meek take streets, whole system inverted. Yeah, Babylon gon' fall, can't stand that fire. You can't buy God, can't bribe that quiet. We done cried too long, we done bled that wide. Now the sky crack open, whole block yell higher. Babylon gon' fall, walls shake dust. Every last lie turn back to dust. We still gon' rise in this God we trust. Say down, you say fall down. Oh, Babylon, Babylon gon' fall. How long till the trumpets ring? How long till the free folks sing? How long till the proud kings swing from the thrones they stole, from the crowns they bring? Yeah, Babylon gon' fall. You stand that fire. You can't ride God, can't ride that fire. We done cried too long, we done bled that wide. Now the sky crack open, whole block yell higher. Babylon gon' fall, walls shake dust. Every last lie turn back to dust. We still gon' rise in this God we trust. Say down, you say fall down. Oh, Babylon, Babylon gon' fall.
But here we go. All right, so just a couple of some informational stuff, family. So African Israelite Justice Foundation. If you don't know, we have a virtual conference scheduled for March the 8th. And in fact, let me show you how to get to the information. So if you want to open your web browser, whenever you get a chance, open your web browser, go to israelitejustice.org. That's israelitejustice.org. You can see it here on the screen. And once you do that, it'll take you to the our landing page, African Israelite Justice Foundation. And then all you have to do is just click on the events tab. So at the very top, just click on the events tab. And what that'll do, Most High willing, is it'll take you to the information about the conference. So, anytime African Israelite Justice Foundation, anytime we do conferences, this is where you'll find, like I said, Most High willing, this is where you'll find the conference information under the events tab. So as you can see here, the events tab, we have upcoming conference called Eyes Open and Armed with Wisdom. Eyes Open and Armed with Wisdom. So this is our first Zoom/virtual conference. And what we're going to do here, family, is that, given all this crazy stuff that's happening, we kind of want to weigh in, just do our part, just to make sure that Israel is prepared. One of the things that I've learned here in the last probably 6 months, family, is I know when I looked into the live of like Martin Luther King and some of our civil rights leaders, and I just went back, fam, and I went back and I looked and saw how they organized, how they came together, and praise be to the Most High, even for our brother Jesse Jackson. And it's funny, once you come into the truth, at least for me, I start looking at this thing with new eyes. Like for the longest, Jesse Jackson was just a civil rights leader, but after you come into the truth, I start looking at things like names. Like immediately I start looking at people's names. Jesse Jackson, right? I did the same thing with Martin Luther King and showed you that Martin Luther King's grandfather had a Sephardic Israelite name. Like he had 3 names, right? Every single name that made up the totality of his name was Sephardic Israelite name, and one of them was a purely Sephardic Israelite name. I'm talking about the former Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s grandfather. And even so, when I'm looking at Jesse Jackson, we just see Jesse Jackson, the Remy, good Reverend, right? And again, condolences to the Jackson family. But just to show you that, Jackson, if you look at the etymology of Jackson, it'll take you into a couple of different routes. One of the routes is Jacob. Like Jackson is, evolves, so to speak, from Jacob, or evolved from Jacob, right? So even in his name, it goes back to Israel. So that's what I'm saying, fam. It's like, once you come into the realization, it's like, man, a lot of this stuff pointed back to who we are. A lot of these leaders that were right in front of us goes back or points back to the children of Israel. And, I can appreciate the way that they tried to unify our people during a time when, we don't enjoy those liberties. Or I'll put it to you this way: the liberties that we enjoy today is because they fought, back in the 70s, because they fought back in the 50s and the 60s and all this other stuff, right? We don't know anything about that because that was our time. We look at it through a stained glass. And as far as like when we open our history books or we're looking at videos to try to get caught up on the things that they've done. But they lived this life, family. They were in this, they were over here in the daughter of Babylon with less rights, less freedoms than we have today. And they fought for that thing. Praise be to the Most High. The Most High was in them and the Most High was using them. Because I know I've heard some people talk about, well, he wasn't this, he wasn't that, he wasn't awake, he wasn't, family, come on now. We were all, we all come through, this thing in different phases, right? We didn't wake up, at least for me, I didn't wake up. I wasn't born awake, through elementary school, high school, middle school, whatever, college. It wasn't until I started getting older, probably like in 2016. I think I tell people like 2015, 2016 is when I got, when I awoke into to the truth of who we are. So long story short, family, just, cut the brother a break, cut these elders a break. You weren't there. Like, I even struggle to see how we would survive during their time. Like, how would we survive during the time of having signs on the window saying whites only, right? Of course, we look at it today. It's like, oh, that's fine. That's perfect. I'm all for segregation, right? But back then it was a totally different animal. And I even took my cap, I guess people call it lids now. You don't call your hats, you call it lids. They got stores called lids. But anyway, I even took my lid to especially the folks that were early in this fight, like in the early 1900s. Like I'm talking about like 1915s, 1920s and stuff like that. Unfortunately, that's during the time when our friends at the ADL, right, they come into being. Benayah Brith, they're the founding organization. That was the organization that was trying to accuse or get two black men hung for the, two innocent black men hung for the murder of this young lady called Mary Fagan. She was 13 years old, and she was murdered by Leo Frank. I mean, the evidence was overwhelming. Went all the way up to the Supreme Court. They kicked that thing back. It was like, nah, you did it. And it was a unanimous decision, of his like-minded, whites during that time that convicted him. And the punishment thereof was death by hanging. Like, it was lynching. That was it. And, some backdoor negotiations took place where how they do, fam. They gave the governor of Georgia some money, and the governor came out and was like, well, you know what? We're not going to carry out this punishment. We're going to give them just life in prison. But, the people in Georgia at that time weren't hearing it. And I believe it was maybe some of the family members that wanted justice for their 13-year-old girl. They went and took him out, snatched him out, and they gave him the punishment, the execution. But anyway, like I said, family, long story short, I have lots of respect for the folks that were around, in the early 1900s. And a lot of stuff was going on in the 1900s, family. Like, one of the things I haven't touched on that Most High willing that I will touch on here in the future is even like the fraternities and stuff that that you've heard of, right? You're getting all these different stories about fraternities. And I'm going to, I always come at you with a different perspective. I'm going to come at you with a different perspective on this one as well, and show you the difference between the testimony of somebody that was in it versus somebody that was out of it. Show you the testimony of somebody of the fraternities back then versus the fraternities now, because it's not the same. And some of the errors when it comes to how some of these fraternities were formed. You want to get Most High willing, that is on the radar. Definitely want to get into that. I'm passionate about that, and definitely going to give you a different perspective. So tune in for that one. All right. So now that I've gone down a totally different rabbit hole than the one I wanted to come to you about, but just back to what we're talking about on the screen: eyes open and armed with wisdom. This is a conference that's going to be on the March 8th, as you can see there on the screen. Have a couple of dynamic, I would call them informationalists. You can see the brother James Merson. Forgive me for mispronouncing his name, but Brother Jameson, what he's going to do, he's going to speak to us from the perspective of farming. So we have a lot of Black farmers in our community. And this is something that was birthed out of that SNAP issue. So remember when the government, they were doing away with SNAP, or they scaled back the SNAP benefits for many people that needed that benefit. They were counting on that benefit. Well, one of the things that we did at African Israelite Justice Foundation, and forgive us, family, it's one of those things where we kind of move in the background. We don't really say a whole lot as far as what we're doing. But there's a reason for that, because we are working in the sight of our enemy. When I tell you that every single thing that they see us doing, they try to counter it. I'm telling you, we say we're going to have a conference down in Charleston or something. They run out in front of us and they try to, dissuade the people from allowing us to host a conference in that area. We start working with the Department of Justice, which is the thing that we actually did to resolve some cases. We literally, praise be to the Most High for working through our lawyer, but we literally worked through the Department of Justice for some cases. And guess what? When the next administration came in, one of the first things they did was get rid of the Department of Justice. I'm telling you, like every single tool that we were using before in the past, when that next administration came in my opinion, some money was exchanged. The enemies of Israel knew what was what. It was like, hey, we got to cut this organization off. So they cut off the Department of Justice. They were cutting off some other things. And so after seeing that, I was like, you know what, we're gonna have to kind of move a little bit differently with our organization. We'll have to, of course, you can't help but communicate some things. Like this conference, we're going to be talking about stuff, and everybody's welcome. We're not going to give you a secret handshake or anything like that. But once you're on there, we're going to give you some information, and we're well aware that we're going to be giving it to you in the sight of our enemies. And we're well aware that once we give it, they're going to be, trying to plan and counter plan, as far as the strategies that we're going to come up with. But in either way, we know that the Most High YAH is going to give us wisdom and give us victory over our enemies. So anyway, like I said, long story short, family, we got Brother Jamerson that's going to be there. He's going to speak to us from the perspective of farmers. Again, this is born out of the whole SNAP issue, when a lot of folks realize how vulnerable they were or are to food shortages. And what we did, African Israelite Justice Foundation, we started going around and doing research on where we could get food from. We reached out to all these different food repositories all across the country, and we were coming up with locations where people could donate food, and two, where people could get food from. Right. Of course, we focus on the Israelite community, but our definition of the Israelite community is broad, a lot broader than what most people would think, because we include both those that are awake and those that are asleep. So in other words, this would include our Christian brothers and sisters, our Muslim brothers and sisters. They're Israel, they just don't know it, or maybe they know it, but they choose a different path. But as this organization, we are an inclusive organization where we reach out to Israelites of all walks of faith, except those that believe in violence. I'll put that stipulation out there. We do not believe in violence. And I guess I'll put another stipulation on that stipulation. The Israelite organizations that I have come across do not believe in violence in the first place. That is a slanderous lie that was put onto our community by the ADL and friends. And praise be to the Most High, our lawyer was working with those guys to try to get that situation taken care of. I'm telling you, fam, they've been doing some work, but just not in the forefront. But yeah, if you can make it out to this conference, definitely join if you can. Of course, we're a non-for-profit organization, so a lot of these things that we do, it has two benefits. One is information that's given out, and also it's a fundraiser for us, right? So it's a fundraiser for us, just so that we can increase our budgets for other things, for other things. We do plan on doing another conference at the end of the year, so we're going to do a couple of these. Some of these virtual conferences, I think we have 4 lined up total. So the first one's going to be about farming and getting your provisions in place. And then we're going to have some other ones after that. But yeah, starting off with the virtual conferences, and then we're planning on having a physical conference, Most High willing, at the end of the year. There's no telling what's going to be going on here shortly, because we know there's a war that's looming. And that's another thing that we'll talk about here shortly. Amen. Hallelujah. All right, so like I said, yeah, but definitely join if you can. One of the things I forgot to put on this page, which I will later today, is if you have any questions, send an email to events@israelitejustice.org. Events@israelitejustice.org. So any questions you have, the way it's going to work, family, is that once you go and register, so once you come to this page, you can read about some of the information that's on it. And this isn't the picture of the our spokeswoman. That was just a placeholder. But well, let me pull up the name of our sister. Because we had reason why I didn't put the name there is because there was a back and forth as far as who was going to speak from their organization. So it is Sister Sheila Roselle. Sheila Roselle. That might change, but right now I think Sister Sheila is on the docket to help facilitate this conversation about preparedness in these last days in the daughter of Babylon. Hallelujah. All right. But when it comes to the tickets are at the bottom. So once you purchase your ticket, that will give us, make sure you put your correct email address in there. Because once you put your email address in there, the closer we get to the event, I'd say probably, since it's right around the corner, March 8th isn't that too far away. We will give you the LinkedIn information closer to the event. So we won't give it to you right away. We just want to wait a few days, right, to get that total count. And then probably, sometime next week, closer to the end of the week, we'll send out that information as far as how to join the Zoom and stuff like that. And I will be on standby. If you guys have any problems joining the Zoom, we will be on standby for that as well. All right. So again, that's it. Virtual conference coming up. First of our virtual conferences that we're kicking off for this Gregorian year, not the Israelite year, but the Gregorian year. And yeah, I think hopefully we'll have some good information that you can use to help prepare your houses and your homes and to get ready for this war that's about to get kicked off over in the Middle East. And I think, I believe that this is a significant war that's getting ready to be kicked off. So, and I pray that the Most High protects us as always. We as the people of Israel, I pray that the Most High is against our enemies. I pray that he goes before us, consumes and destroys them. Oh, Brother Benayah, what are you talking about? Yes, I pray that the Most High goes before us and consumes and destroys our enemies just like he did in the times of old. Because, like I said, family, as we sit here, as we're at work, as we're minding our own business, our enemies are plotting our demise. And I kid you not, they are plotting our demise. They are actively doing that. So I pray that the Most High actively, likewise, and even more so, plot against them and causes their recompense to return upon their own heads. Hallelujah. All right. So the other thing I want to bring to your attention, family, let me make sure I always try to make sure I'm doing an audio check from time to time. Let's see here. All right. I think I'm good. All right. The other thing, just from an administrative perspective. So as far as like the, like say my book information, just want to show you that it is still available on Amazon. All you have to do is just make sure you key in Black History Case Files, and also want to just make sure that you are aware that for the hardcover, now if you click on hardcover, This price may fluctuate from time to time. You see where it says $25.95 right now. That lower price is because it's coming directly from me, right? When you see the price jump up to 38, that's coming from Amazon. So when I'm able to sell it to you, I sell it to you, of course, at a very low price, right? You can either get the low price from here on Amazon, or even I think it's lower from my website, right? So you got two places. I'm just trying to hook you up, fam. Because I'm not pocketing this money. Like when Amazon jacks it up to 38, Amazon takes all kinds of money out of that thing. So I'm just letting you know, family, and I'm trying to give you the lowest price as well. But just come here. I do have a limited stock. So I try to get maybe just a handful of books at a time. And once that goes out, I'm ordering another batch to come in, like this stock that's currently available on Amazon. I've already ordered the backfill for it, but of course it takes a while for it to get to me. So there's a limited stock on what's available out here. So just want to let you know, if you're interested in the hardcover, if you see a price of 38, hold off. I just say hold off on it for a little bit. It might take me a few days, but I will get my stock back up, and you should see a price of around 25, a much lower price once I have my inventory up. All right. And then the other thing too, family, is that I did have some merch that went along with it on Amazon, but I'm expanding past Amazon. So just want to let you know, there is some merchandise that's available with it as well. So it's called, and this is on Shopify. So Investigate Black History is the website. These links, by the way, are in the description of this, video. But if you're interested in merch, if you're interested in supporting the channel, as always thank those that support the channel, because even early on, family, when I got to tell you, when I first started doing Hidden Hebrews, the Benayah Israel channel, I was, people don't realize, like, for a lot of the like, at least back then, it's not as expensive as it was when I first started. But when I first started, we had to pay for all the B-roll, and that's the little video clips. We had to pay for the like any of the intros, that sort of stuff. The music, of course, it has to be licensed and stuff like that. So each production, and if it was like something that was like over an hour, like some of the lessons were over an hour, like the Hidden Hebrews, I call it like full production video style stuff, like that stuff costs money, like hundreds of dollars. And so it wasn't, and if I had to keep that up on my own, I wouldn't be able to do it. It was only by the grace of the Most High, working through you all, that were donating, whether it be through Cash App, even though I didn't have Cash App back then, but I did have Patreon. And so, praise be to the Most High for you all that joined the Patreon, became a $5 Patreon supporter, and that helped tremendously, and it still helps today. So big thank you out to you all that are supporting us, that are out here trying to fight the good fight. Because let me tell you, family, these guys are coming after us, right? They're trying to do all this doxing and all this other stuff, but it's through your support that helps us, withstand these attacks that's coming against us. So anyway, like I said, if you're interested in supporting, you have multiple ways of supporting. One way to support is, of course, become a $5 Patreon member, or you can donate via Cash App, or buy the book or buy some merch, something that you think that'll be useful. I have come out with a couple of some new designs as far as t-shirts, so maybe one of these t-shirts might be worth purchasing and throwing on from time to time. I think I will also come out with some more designs as well, so just be on the lookout for that. So this is where you can just buy your merch for Black History Case Files, and this is on Shopify. And then last but not least is the iTunes, Spotify. So if you all were on the part of the beginning of this video, I was playing a new release called Babylon Gonna Fall. So that was released. It was released yesterday, but I think iTunes didn't release it until last night. So, but just want to let you know that if another way to support is either purchase the song or just stream it. Like if you have Spotify, go on to Spotify, and if you add it to your playlist, right? Just have it playing in the background or something like that. When you do it that way, that also supports as well. So just add it to a playlist. That's another way that you can support us indirectly. Yeah, just add it to your playlist and just have it playing in the background. All right. So that should be it as far as the administrative stuff. So just got the conference and some of the other things. And with that being said, let us get down to business. All right. So shalom, shalom. Yeah, I'm seeing the folks in the chat. And thank you for the super chat. Sunny Sunny Lion 42. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Hallelujah. All right. So all this stuff that's going on, got this war coming up. And one of the things I pointed out, family, was that, and I did this in the video called, let me just see if I can switch my screen while I'm talking to you here. One of the things we talked about was I had a video called "The Fall of Babylon Gonna Fall," right? And in that video, I showed you that there's this pattern of the Medes, right? So the Medes were the tools or the battle axe or the weapon of war that the Most High used, or you can call it the belt, right? The belt that the Most High used to judge the nation that enslaved Israel. Yes, indeed. There's a pattern for that. And let me see if I can pull up my other screen here, family. Let's do let's do this here. All right, so you might see this screen. Oh, there you go. All right. So we're going to read some scriptures here. I just want to show you a few things because we know that there's a war that appears as though it's getting ready to get kicked off between the U.S. and, of course, the Israeli are going to be a part of that. And that's going to take place over in the Middle East. And when that gets kicked off, the warning signs. What I'm doing is I'm flashing the warning signs. Hey, I'm not saying that this is it. I'm not a prophet. I'm not a prophet as far as I know. And, I don't know what's going to happen next week versus the next year. I don't know if there's going to be a war that gets kicked off. But one of the things I do want to share with you, family, is this is one of the things I just learned just from being at work and being in corporate America. And that is, anytime something starts checking all the boxes, just start paying attention, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I've heard people say, well, this has happened before. We've been at war before. We've done this before. Yeah. Well, but this one's a little bit different because it's checking all the boxes, right? It's checking all the boxes. Well, what do you mean, Brother Benayah? Well, let me show you. Well, I'm not going to show you all the boxes. I'm just going to show you maybe one or two of the boxes. And this has to do with, Hamashiach, Messiah, has always, he's told us about these things that are to come. Like you can see here in Matthew's chapter 24, and it says, verily I say to you, Matthew chapter 24, verse 34, right? Matthew chapter 24, verse 34. And it says, verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. But of that day and hour knoweth no man. No, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah. So there's all kinds of speculation about the days of Noah, right? There were giants during the days of Noah. These were the offsprings of the fallen angels mixing with men, right? Like, we've got, people are running around saying like, man, are they coming back? Are they already here? Are they under the ground? There's an extensive underground network. People don't realize, like, under Turkey today, they have over 200 underground cities. No, not 200 underground caves, 200 underground cities that are multiple levels underneath the ground. That, over in Turkey, that was the territory of the Hittites. The Hittites, they were the ones that they dwelt in caves as well as the Edomites as well. But the Hittites over in Turkey, they were, of course, if you look at some of the scholars, they say like, these underground cities were built by the Hittites. Well, one of the things about these underground caves, they go so deep that no one has mapped the bottom level. Like at some point, when they keep going down level by level by level, the person or people that are going down get scared and turn back and come back. They're like, all right, I'm good, and who knows, maybe they get down there and they start hearing something, some groans and moans, I don't see how they can get past level 10 going down. I probably would have turned back a long time ago. But in any case, I guess the reason why I'm bringing up these caves is that some of these caves were, they were said to have been the location where these beings, these people that weren't necessarily human, lived, right? They got the bones and stuff to prove it. Even when they started finding the remnants of the giants, the bones of the giants, and when you look at some of the old periodicals, some of the old tables, some of the old newspapers, it would say that those bones were found in caves. All right, I know we're getting off topic, but anyway, I just want to show you that, during the days of Noah, so this has got people thinking that, is it going to be a time when the giants come back, right? Is it going to be another flood? I mean, people, they're all speculating because unless you're a prophet, we don't know, right? We're all just looking at the scriptures, praying for discernment, and just keeping our eyes open to what's going to happen. But in this scripture, I guess I have this highlighted because I just want to focus on, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So you know that this scripture, these verses, are dealing with the return of the Messiah, the redeeming of his people. Hallelujah. And we see in verse 38, it says, for as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, and one shall be taken and the other left. Shout out, there's a song that I have called One Taken and One Left, that's supposedly a visual illustration of that event. So as you can see here, family, this is prophesied to be one of those days that's going to catch a lot of people off guard. A lot of people are not going to be looking for it. Of course, there's a lot of atheists out there that don't believe in the Most High anyway. So, of course, they're going to be believing that, their God, Lucifer, told them that the world is theirs, right? That they're going to be on top. And so this is why they are coming against the Most High's people, because they don't believe him, right? They don't believe that the Most High is the Most High, and of course they're coming against the people of the Most High. But in any case, family, so here we have, the Messiah coming back. He's going to redeem his people, his children, right, or the people of Israel. And this is and not only do we find this in Matthew's chapter 24, but we can also see this in the book of Luke. So Luke chapter 17, as you can see on the screen here, family, and just make sure that the audio is good. All right, here we go. So Luke chapter 17, and you can see on the screen, I guess for context, we'll read from 23 on down. And it says, and they shall say to you, see here and see there, go not after them, nor follow them. For as the lightning that lighteth out of the one part under heaven, shineth under the other part under heaven, so shall also the Son of Man be in his day. So again, we're talking about the Messiah, Hamashiach, which is a Hebrew word for Messiah, the Messiah coming back. And then it says, verse 25, it says, but first must he suffer many things and be rejected of his generation. Verse 26 says, and as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. Hallelujah. So again, we're pointing back to the Son returning back to the days of Noah. And again, it's talking about, it says, verse 27, they did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark. And the flood came and destroyed them all. So I guess the point here, family, is that we could be at the precipice of the destruction of the daughter of Babylon. Noah is boarding the ark. The door is closing behind him, and the rain is right around the corner. and we don't even know it. That's the visual from this scripture. It could be right around the corner, and the scriptures say, people are not going to believe it because we're going to be looking for a slow change of events. We're going to be looking for, when we see rain coming, sometimes it gets a little dark, right? And then you can start, the wind starts picking up. Then you might get some sprinkles on your face, and then you hear the thunder and you hear the rumble and all that stuff, and then it starts opening up. But the day of Noah was quick, right? Door closed, flood came. It was quick and destroyed everything. So that's what I'm saying, family. It's like, this is why I'm raising the alarm bells when it comes to Iran, which is the Medes, and the US and Israel. And we're going to see here in a moment why. And this is Isaiah chapter 54. And let's see here. Let's start here. And so, of course, it says, try to get this in perspective. Let's see here. Verse 8. This is Isaiah chapter 54, verse 8. And it says, in a little wrath, I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee. Just bear with me just for a second, fam. Just trying to see if it'll help to get you some more context on this. I guess we can get some more context on it. Let's start at verse 5 instead of 8. It says, for thy maker is thine husband, the host, the Elohim of hosts is his name. It says, and thy redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. Let's read that again. In your redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the Elohim of the whole earth shall he be called. Verse 6, for Yahuwah has called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth, when thou wast refused, says Yahuwah. For a small moment have I forsaken you, but with great mercies will I gather you. So this is what we're talking about. This is what we're looking forward to. This is what, when our forefathers worked in those fields, in the cotton fields, and they said, swing low, sweet chariots coming forth to carry me home. They literally sang the song about being redeemed, about being rescued from the lands of their captivity. And then we have verse 8, this is what I was reading before, where it talks about this. It says, for this is the waters of Noah unto me. You catch that? So when the Most High comes back, when he's gathering people, he's saying, for this is the waters of Noah unto me. For as I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth, so have I sworn that I would not be wroth with thee, nor rebuke thee. For the mountains shall depart, and the hills shall be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from thee. Neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, says Yahuwah that has mercy on thee. Now, this goes counter to those who want to replace Israel. We call them replacement theologians, right? You saw Tucker, right? He had the conversation with Huckabee. What I say, Golly G Huckabee. He tries to be that Southern gentleman, right? But Golly G Huckabee, he's trying to say that, of course, those people over in the land in Israel, over in the Middle East, are called Israel. They're the Israelites, right? And this has been so far rebuked, debunked, that it's not even funny, right? And this is one of those things, Most High willing, because I saw that, and shout out to Pastor Kelly, because he sent me a video as well. But it's one of those things, family, where, we're going to spend some time, Most High willing, we're going to get into some videos and go over the evidence again, just to show that, there's a reason why they can't take DNA over there. Huckabee was rattling off some stuff about, oh yeah, we got some DNA proof. No, you don't allow people to take DNA over there. No, you don't have DNA, ancient DNA that you're connected to. And like what I say, that what the easy button is to prove who is who is, before all this, controversy about, Israel and all this other stuff, the genetic scientists went forth throughout the world and did this thing called a human genome project. And they mapped like all these people, different countries, different places. And what they did was that they put the person's DNA into people's DNA into groups, and what they call haplogroups. And these genetic haplogroups, what they did is that they figured out where that specific genetic haplogroup came from. This is the easy button when it comes to defining who is who. Now you might be saying, "Oh, I hear you, Brother Benayah, but are you trying to say that these so-called African Americans and these people, these brown and black people of the diaspora, are the children of Israel?" But the genetics don't prove it out. Oh, hang on, because you may not know that the haplogroup assigned to African Americans, that the haplogroup assigned to the brown and black people of color that are part of the diaspora, that E1B1A, that haplogroup E, when they first came out with that haplogroup, guess where they said that haplogroup originated from? The Middle East. That's why when you look at some of the old information, the old documents, it says it came from the Middle East. What happened was, I want to say right around the time that a lot of Israelites woke up, like around the 2015, 2016, it's almost like in the spiritual realm, they saw this activity happening in the spiritual realm, visiting, these elders and these people of Israel, and telling them, waking them up that also on the enemy side, that they started moving as well. It was like, oh, they're about to wake the children of Israel up. They're about to wake these people up. They're about to tell them who they are. We for the longest we had movies calling them, jungle bunnies, swinging on trees and stuff. But the awakening is happening. Well, right around the time during the awakening, that's when they changed that DNA stuff. They made that E, instead of it being from the Middle East, they changed it. They're real slick about it too. They changed it to being from Africa. And the way that they changed it, if you spend time looking at the documents, because when you look at Wikipedia, it'll show you a whole bunch of different documents. But when you start going into those documents and digging, it's like, man, well, how did they change, this E from being from the Middle East over to being from Africa, West Coast of Africa? Well, it's real slick. They had these two dudes. It was changed on the account of two guys. I kid you not. Two guys. They said, well, we just randomly found these two guys over in Nigeria, and we just decided to test their DNA. And look, they have the older version of the E1 of the E1 DNA haplogroup. So if that's the case, then therefore, because they have the older one, then that means that y'all came from those guys, and those guys are from here. Well, wait a minute. First of all, it was just two guys, and it looked as though that they were transplanted there. That was one thing, because it wouldn't be just those two guys. It would be their families. It would be the families around them. It would be whole communities that would have this marker, but it was only found in two guys. And then the other thing, the other checkmate from this was that they then found that there were two other people. There was other family members that had older versions that was even older than the two guys that was over in the West Coast of Africa, that was back over in the Middle East, that had the DNA signature that was the progenitor of all the DNA that was over here. Not all of it, but a good portion of it, of the E1 haplogroup that was over here over in the West Coast of Africa. So therefore, they should have updated it and pointed it back over to the Middle East, but they never did it. That's what I'm saying. Like, these guys are slick, family. But anyway, but the reason why I was going down this path is to show you that DNA, there's an easy button with DNA. Because when they did this genetic genome project, and they basically said, all right, well, we have this haplogroup J1, we have this haplogroup J2, where did it come from? Now, when they did it, of course, they weren't thinking about no Jews, they weren't thinking about no Turkish people or nothing like that. They were just like, I got this haplogroup, where did it come from? Based off of archaeology, based off of the DNA that's extracted from, tooth from these archaeological sites. Where did J1, J2 come from? Guess what? It came from the Caucasus Mountains. Over in the Caucasus Mountains, below the Caucasus Mountains, you have the territory of Ashkenaz, which is, modern day Georgia, right? And then, of course, you have above the Caucasus Mountains, that was the territory of the Khazars. So when people say things like, "Oh, the Khazarian," that hypothesis has been debunked. No, sir. As long as you have somebody in your organization that is from J1, J2, or R1B1 that both come from the Caucasus Mountains, per the DNA haplogroup project, like that's done. Already signed off on it. Nobody's debating that, right? That has not been debunked. So I just want to put that out there. That has not been debunked. What has been proven is that the so-called African Americans, the so-called folks with the E1 haplogroup, your DNA comes from the Middle East. It may not show it when you go on Wikipedia. It is buried. The truth is literally in there. Like if you dig into the references, and like I was sharing with you before, it'll show you that you were from the Middle East. Like that haplogroup came from the Middle East. But story for another day. All right. So let's go back to what we're talking about here. Just as it was in the days of Noah, this thing that will happen in these last days will come quick. Even when it talks about Babylon being destroyed in 1 hour. 1 hour. Quick, family. Quick. You might be at the grocery store. By the time you get back home, this thing might be over. Wrapped up. Flames, fire and brimstone, right? All done. You trying to figure out what's going on. What's going on? Like, we got to get here. We got to get there. And here come Putin on the radio. People of USA. However it goes down, however the Most High causes this thing to go down. But like I said, the thing that's important here, family, are the Medes. The Medes are the key to this puzzle. The Medes are the key to this whole puzzle, because for the longest, the Most High has always looked for the Medes for the belt. I'm telling you, it's like, anytime you have a kid, I mean, for those of you all that grew up during a time where you can get spankings, right? Which hopefully it's still the time of the spanking. Hopefully that belt wasn't hung up for good. I know everybody's trying to get to this talking stuff, but you need that belt from time to time. But in any case, there was always the whooping belt. Like there was the belt that, dad, mom, that dad for the most part put on to go to work. But it was the belt that they used for whooping. That was that special belt, right? And so the Medes were that special belt. Yes, they were. The Medes were that special belt. And let me see if I think I have this here. Let's go to pull this up, because this is one of those things, family, where I was saying that the Medes are it's the belt that they pull out, that the Most High pull out when you have a world power. Let that sink in. When there's a world power on the scene and the Most High wants to whoop the world power, he takes out his world power belt. And that's what I'm saying, family. The Medes are the world power destroyer belt. When Assyria came on the scene, Assyria was like one of the greatest empires, right? Over in the Middle East, they're conquering all this territory. They are the tippy top of the food chain. And the Assyrian, the Assyrian Empire comes during the time of the Lakesh relief. So of course they come and they're coming against, this is when King Hezekiah is the king over Jerusalem. He's the king over the southern kingdom, right? The house of Judah. And this is when King Sennacherib comes. He's the Assyrian king, and he razes or destroys at least 40 cities of Judah. And this is when I say things about like how all these places are connected, how I don't like moving stuff around. Like I'm a software developer by trade. I had my undergraduate degree was in software engineering. And one of the things I can tell you, family, when I was tasked with moving data from one place to the next, or moving a chunk of code from one program to the next, I couldn't just lift it up and put it down over the other place. I liken it to like if you have a bowl of spaghetti and you're trying to get one noodle out and you stick your fork in there, when you pick your fork up, you're going to have a whole bunch of extra noodles on that thing. right? You're going to have a whole bunch of dependencies on that thing. So I can't lift it up and drop it in the new locations. I have to meticulously unwind or detach a whole bunch of other stuff. And that's why I say about history. History is that noodle that's attached to a whole bunch of other noodles. When you try to move something to a different place, especially Israel, all the other noodles that's attached to it, you get in trouble. Like, for instance, when Babylon, when we was talking about Assyria, let's take Assyria, for example. When Assyria comes through and destroys 42 cities of Judah, they're getting ready to go against Jerusalem. Of course, Hezekiah pleads, prays, and I believe Isaiah during the time, gets a word from the Most High. Most High spares Hezekiah, turns Sennacherib back to Assyria. When he gets back to Assyria, he at least wants to brag a little bit about what he did. So he creates the Lakesh relief. And when he creates the Lakesh relief, he's depicting Judah as a bunch of nappy, woolly-headed people. And actually, I'm going to take a page out of Pastor Kelly's book, and I'm going to show this to you right quick. I just want to show it to you really quick, family, because I know that this, let's do this one right here. All right. So this is the picture of Judah from the Lakesh relief that Sennacherib created. Notice short, nappy, woolly hair. And one of the things I point out, and this is from my book called Who Are the Biblical Israelites? Notice the pattern of texture on the hair. These small knots or knobs is what they call. You actually saw, if you saw Black Panther, you actually saw these knobs in Black Panther. These are called, modern day, they're called Bantu knots, right? But back then, I'm not even sure what it was called back then. But these knots or knobs depict people of an African look. And they were used, like when Sennacherib's artists or artisans created this depiction, they weren't just creating it out of thin air, because that hair pattern was used for hundreds of years before. Even in Egypt, when the Egyptians depicted people from the Africa, like from South Africa, they used knots or knobs in the hair to depict those people. So when this was made, there was no mistake as to who these people were, what they looked like, because there's over 100 knots or knobs just for one person. And for an artist to sit there and meticulously create that shows the importance of the definition or depiction of these people. So in other words, family, we already have pictures of what Judah looked like. Not only do we have pictures, they also did archaeology at the site. And when they took a look at the skulls, of course, when you look at skulls, we can tell whether people are from Africa or whether they're European based off of the cephalic index, how long it is, certain other measurements and features. And they looked at it and it's like, oh, these are Nubian people. These are Black folks. So that's why I say when folks like, Shuckabee Huckabee comes up and tries to say things like, oh, well, we got the DNA. No, you don't have the DNA. We got the DNA. Oh, you got the archaeology. No, you don't have the archaeology. You can see it on the screen. They don't have the archaeology to back up what they're saying. And then he had the nerve to say something about the Sephardic Jews are the largest ones in the territory of the Israel. And we know that's a lie as well. All right, but anyway, let me just hop back here, fam. Let me hop back here real quick. I want to stop sharing that. And just want to bring back this screen because I just want to show you again, I was talking about that belt. The belt that the Most High uses when he's spanking a world power. That's why I'm so tuned in to what's going on over in the Middle East. And again, I'll just stress it and say again, I'm not a prophet. I do not know what's going to happen tomorrow. I have not had a dream about this thing. I'm just looking at this saying, hey, family, hey, let's raise my hand up. Hey, brothers and sisters, my brothers and sisters. Hey, the Most High is grabbing his belt. It looked like he grabbing his belt. It's almost like when your dad come home and you hear him going to the closet. It's funny because I got some brothers-in-law. They talk about a closet. Say, yeah, when he go in that closet, you can hear that jingle and he getting ready to come up the steps. Oh, you knew it was on. You knew it was on when you heard that jingle and that belt. You heard the closet close and you heard that little jingle from the buckle. Oh, you knew it was over. Somebody was gonna get knocked get taken out, right? And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, hey, there's a jingle occurring because the Most High, it looks like he's grabbing that belt, that world destroyer belt, because the Medes were used to take out Assyria. So like I said, Assyria comes down, they come across, and the whole reason why they came to Judah was because, Judah, they started getting into that idolatry. They were sinning. Of course, they were always warned. Most High always warned the children of Israel that, hey, y'all better stop. Don't let me get y'all better stop. I'm gonna bring somebody against you. And then so he brings the Assyrian kingdom against Judah. And of course, they come down, they unalive a whole bunch of people. They take Jehoiakim, Jehoiakim to, he's the prince, one of the princes from the line of David. He takes him to Assyria. All right. Hopefully I'm getting that right. Jehoiakim. And then, and of course, like I said, he goes back. But then the Most High does not leave it there, because what happens is that, and this is what you see what happened here, is that when these countries come against the children of Israel and they destroy the children of Israel, they all of a sudden get the big head. They're like, oh, that's because of me. That's because of me and my army. That was because of me and my idolatrous people. That was because of my power. And they started speaking boldly, right? And so then the Most High was like, oh man, I'm going to have to take them out. Now that they're a world power, I got to take out the world power belt, right? The WWF belt, right? To give them a whooping with. That's who the Medes were. And that's one of the things I don't think I really did justice in describing who the Medes was in this last video, but that's who the Medes were. The Medes were the world power whooping belt. When Assyria came through, Most High grabbed the Medes, and keep in mind now the Medes were made up of 4 kings. So we're going to read here in a moment about the Most High is going to stir up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. There was only 4 of them, family. It was only 4 of them. And these 4 kings did a couple of things. Of course, the first king of the Medes, he brought everybody together. Like, the Medes, they were kind of like this little ragtag group. First king brought them all together. Second king, he wanted to challenge the big dog. And I was like, who's this big dog of Assyria? Let me go and get him. Now he faltered. Now he tried to come against Assyria. He knocked him down, right? Took him out. But then there was that third king of the Medes. He was brutal. He was the one that came through, and Assyria was laid to rest by that third king of the Medes, right? And he was the one. He was the one. There was 4 kings of the Medes, and the fact that the Most High said, "I'm going to stir up the spirit of the kings of the Medes," that proves that the Medes, these are people that were laid to rest, and that he's going to bring up the spirit, basically what they were doing when they were alive. And I'm telling you, when they were alive, they brought their kingdom together and they took out the world power. That's that spirit of the kings of the Mede. Now, it's going to read this to you real quick, family. And that is, so Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 1, it says, "Thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me a destroying wind, and will send unto Babylon fanners, and shall fan her, and shall empty her land, and in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up and his brigandine, and spare you not her young men, destroy you utterly all her cities. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans." Now, that was the land of the Babylonians. It says, "And they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel is not been forsaken." Now, this is one of those things where, like I said, nowadays people are all saying that, well, we know the people over in the Middle East, we know that they're not Israel. But the church is Israel. We are spiritual Israel. Over and over again in these scriptures, what you see is that Israel is not forsaken. They're trying to say that Israel's been forsaken. The Most High is saying Israel has not been forsaken. Even in Deuteronomy, and some of these other verses in books where it talks about the Most High told us the beginning from the end, or he told us the end from the beginning. He told us the end from the beginning. At the very beginning, he said, I'm going to give you these laws. Y'all not going to do it. These curses going to come upon you. Y'all going to be scattered to the four winds, but then you turn back and I'm going to regather you. He said that from the very beginning. And it's like people want to short circuit that or ignore those prophecies that were giving early on in the book about what Israel was going to do, or what he was going to do with Israel. And then they want to say that Israel has been forsaken. They want to say, no, there's a brand new Israel on the scene. Those Israelites, they couldn't do nothing. Most High he's done away with them. Verse 5, for Israel has not been forsaken, nor Judah of his Elohim, of the Yahuwah of hosts. The Yahuwah Zabaoth is host in Hebrew. It says, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. So again, the whole reason why Babylon came against Israel was because they were sinning. They were getting into some stuff that they were not supposed to be doing. Verse 6, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahuwah's vengeance. He will render under her recompense. Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahuwah's hand, haven't they? They had influence all across the world. They've had they can go in and snatch a person, snatch a president out of this country, levy taxes against another country, all this influence and stuff. And the Most High is saying, Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahuwah's hand that hath made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Now, what we're starting to see now, family, is that we've all been talking about this ruling elite, that they're not just tied to one country. They're controlling countries. Like you can see that, their control over the U.S., it's been there for a long time. And even with President Trump, is there more than ever. Whatever they have over Trump with all that Epstein stuff, they got him in the pocket. He's thoroughly in the back pocket. So whatever these elites want to do, he's doing it. And right now, it looks like these elites know about this prophecy about the Medes being the belt of Babylon. That's kind of like when people get a spanking, they get mad at the belt. They don't get mad at dad. Right? They don't get mad at the person whooping, but they come downstairs and they look into that closet and they see that belt. That little shiver goes down the spine like, ooh, man, I hate that belt. I'm going to cut that belt up. I'm going to get rid of that belt. So dad come down and he can't find his belt when it's time to come. Say, hey, who moved my belt? I don't know what happened to it. Oh, don't worry, I got something worse. You're going to be wishing you had that other belt back there. But what they're trying to do, family, they're trying to get rid of the belt, right? Because they know, like I said, it says Babylon has been a gold cup in Yahuwah's hand that made all the nations of the earth drunk. I'm at verse 7, by the way. And it says, the nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen. Remember, we was reading about the days of Noah, how in the days of Noah, the door closed and the flood came quickly and destroyed everybody. What we're talking about is something that's going to happen quick, family. It's kind of like you got a scab or somebody trying to pull the scab or Band-Aid off and they pull it off slowly, or somebody can pull it off quick. This is that quick pull. Babylon is suddenly fallen, verse 8, and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so, it says, if so be, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon. They would have healed her after slavery. After slavery, when the black folks, people of brown and black, the Reconstruction period. A lot of people were many advances were happening. Black communities were spreading, were prospering. You had the stuff over in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You had the stuff over in Raleigh, North Carolina. All these different places across the country. There was a lot of prosperity for Israel. Israel had come out of that great persecution, that great slavery, right? But no, death and destruction. Esau, it says Esau has a perpetual hatred for his brother. He can't stand Israel, especially when he sees Israel operating in his blessing. Because remember, the whole dynamic with Jacob and Esau was that Jacob, they said, or Esau believes that Jacob stole his blessing. And so Esau gets mad every single time he sees Jacob or the children or the sons of Jacob working, operating in their blessing. It makes him mad. People wonder today, like, man, well, how come we can't get reparations? How come every time the Chinese get reparations, or the Japanese, they had, after Pearl Harbor, they put them in those camps, they got reparations. We got the that stuff that happened over in Germany, they got their reparations. But the people who they treated the worst for the longest, who gave them the most benefit, gave them the most money, because a lot of these banks and institutions are rich because of the sons of Judah that were in captivity. They benefited from that. But those people, they just seem like they can't. Is there something about seeing those people blessed that they can't deal with it? I'm telling you, family, this goes back to Esau. Esau can't stand to see Jacob in his blessing. This is why not now one of Esau's children are going to be voting for your reparations anytime soon. Not anytime soon. People can't even figure that out. That's one of the things. It's like when you don't know who you are, like you don't know who you Jacob and you don't know who's Esau, this whole thing about reparations, it's not going to make any sense. Like this whole thing about what some of these events in the world is not going to make any sense because you got all the players wrong. But that's what it is, family. Esau can't stand you operating in your blessing. As soon as you start to get in your cars, as soon as you start to drive nice cars and having nice houses, boy, Esau, it's like just something in him just starts stirring. I mean, you talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma. You talk about there were more millionaires in Tulsa, Oklahoma than in the whole country. Let that sink in. There were more millionaires in Tulsa, Oklahoma during that time, before Black Wall Street, or during the time of Black Wall Street before they burned it down. There were more millionaires there than in the whole country. They can't stand it. And what do you think they did when that one incident happened with that one person? They burned the whole thing down. Not only did they burn the whole thing down, then they said, we don't want y'all building nothing back up. No, we're not going to give you insurance to build not one building back up. Esau can't stand Israel, Jacob operating in his blessing. That makes him mad. Anyway, but it also want you to keep in mind too, family, that the people that's over in the Middle East, over in the territory of Israel, they're not just one people. And, we've had a lot of people kind of point that out, whether it be through DNA. We know that when we look at the people via DNA, it's a hodgepodge of people. You have Esau over there. You have the Ashkenaz over there, the sons of, these are the sons of Gomer, right? The people of Japheth over there. So you have, and in some cases, you have the northern kingdom over there. It's one of the things that people don't realize is that when Israel, during the time of Hezekiah, right, you had the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. There was legitimate beef between the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. They didn't see themselves as together. They had wars where they unalived people on both sides. Like they were going at each other hard like that. So much so that the northern kingdom sometimes joined up with the Edomites. Like they joined up with the enemies of Israel. So they were on the other side, family. So this whole thing about, I kind of caution people like, oh yeah, they the northern kingdom. I was like, hey, you may want to wait before you jump into a boat with them. You may want to wait before you purchase a house with them, because it says in the scriptures that there's going to be a time where the Messiah is going to bring those two branches back together, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. But until that comes, they going to hate your guts. This is why when we had some brothers out there talking about, oh, we Ephraim. I was like, no, we're not. We're not Ephraim. The children of Ephraim, they're the ones that try to get rid of the lineage of David. You know that? You better go back and read that Bible. They were the ones that try to usurp or replace David with their king. The lineage of the Messiah. Like they tried to do away with that. They tried to put their people in place. That's the northern kingdom. So I'm just saying, like, and then when you look at the transatlantic slave trade on some of those old maps in the slave coast, you see a people called Benayah Ephraim. right at the place right where Israelites were put into chains. It looks like they were always on that other team. They haven't switched back over to it's going to be a time, don't get me wrong, it's going to be a time where they come together and join with the southern kingdom. But as far as when that happens, how it happens, I have no idea. I'm just saying, family, you might want to wait before you go and join yourself to Ephraim. And Ephraim, now, because Ephraim still feels some sort of way against the southern kingdom. Because you think about it, Ephraim comes from Joseph. Joseph was over in Egypt. They were the second in command. They were used to running stuff. And then here comes, the Most High's choosing Judah, that root to become, that root to come out of Judah. It was like, whoa. But we was the second in command over in Egypt. I'm just saying, family, be careful. Be careful. I know we all trying to run up out of Babylon, but Babylon is everywhere. That's the point that a lot of us are making. It's like Babylon's everywhere. You saw that. I don't know if you read or not, but even over in the North, West Africa, people talking about going over to Nigeria. The U.S. they just unloaded some people over Nigeria. They got some military forces down there. There's no escaping until that belt comes out, which it could be soon. I don't know. Until that Mede belt come out, Babylon's going to be Babylon. But what we're talking about here in Isaiah chapter 54, make sure I'm right. Jeremiah chapter 51. I'm sorry. Jeremiah chapter 51. We're talking about the Medes. It says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her make balm for her pain? If so be she may be healed. It says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. She kept on doing that hating against Israel. It says, forsake her and let us go everyone until his own country, for her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. Her judgment is reached unto heaven. Think about the gall that it would take for someone to boldly say, you know what, we're going to take the Most High's land. We're going to put some golf courses on the Most High's land. Of course, they're not using the Most High. They're just saying that we're going to put some golf courses in some place over in the Middle East. You realize the Most High is not going to let that stand? That's judgment coming from that, right? We just kind of look at it like, that's not the land of Israel. That's not our land. Okay. That's a conversation for another day. But if you take that perspective, you're going to be just like the people in the days of Noah. You're going to miss it. You're going to miss that ark door being closed because you're looking someplace else. I'm just saying you might want to pay attention. But let's finish this one out. This goes to verse 10. It says, Yahuwah has brought forth our righteousness. It says, come, let us declare in Zion and work, says the work of Yahuwah, our Elohim. Verse 11, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahuwah has raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. For his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yahuwah. Now he says the vengeance of his temple. Now, who was it that destroyed the temple of the Most High? Now, we know that the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed 2 times. One, it was destroyed by Babylon. We know that. But then 2, it was destroyed by Rome. Even in Italy today, they have this thing called the Ark of Titus, where they have chiseled in stone pictures of them carrying away none other than the Most High's implements from his temple. Think how brazen that is. Now, if the Most High says there's going to be vengeance of his temple, well, who's displaying the accoutrements or the spoils of his temple in their land on a monument? Who's doing that? Right? These are the people of Rome, right? In like I said, in Italy today, it is still there today. And you can see when it talks about this judgment, he's talking about the vengeance of his temple. And then it says, and of course, like I said, like we read before, it says, verse 11, it says, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. It says, Yahuwah has raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. Like I said, there were 4 kings of the Medes. 4 kings. Maybe we should ask, what did those 4 kings of the Medes do and what did they accomplish? Like I said, the first king of the Medes brought them all together, right? Brought them all together. This, that second king decided to take the fight to Babylon. He didn't prevail. But that third king, though, he put some work in, right? He put some work in and achieved the goal. The spirit of the kings of the Medes. So, of course, family, when we look at this, and it's I'm over here bumping my microphone, so hopefully I didn't lose my audio. Over in Iran, it's interesting that anytime an angel shows up, sometimes when an angel shows up in scripture, there's a shaking that occurs, like an earthquake, so to speak. Like, did you know that over in Iran that they had some earthquakes, like these 4 earthquakes back to back to back to back? I'm just saying. I know people's like, don't read too much into it. I'm just saying, I'm just calling it out. Yeah, that's what a watchman does. A watchman calls out what he sees, might not fully understand it, might say, hey, there's some people over on the ridge and they moving to the left. Hey, it could be the Domino's pizza man, right? It could be the pizza, could be the Pizza Hut person. I'm just calling, hey, somebody moving to the left, somebody moving to the right. That's what I'm doing. I'm just calling it out. There's some strange things that's been happening over in Iran. And this is why I'm cautioning people that anytime you see Iran get involved, pay attention, because they have been the Most High's whipping belt to whoop global world powers of their time. They took out the Assyrians. The Assyrians were the global world power at their time. Then the Babylonians rose up. The Medes joined with the Persians, which it was really, like I said, the 4th king of the Medes, the 4th king of the Medes, his daughter married a Persian who then gave birth to a son, Cyrus. So Cyrus is literally the grandson of the 4th king of the Medes. Cyrus of Persia, the king of Persia, is literally the grandson of the 4th king of the Medes. This is why when Persia comes up, people say, no, it's the Medo-Persian Empire, because they was all ruled by the same family. Medo-Persian, Cyrus. So when Cyrus comes up, these Persian king comes up, what happens? That spirit of the kings of the Medes is still there. Babylon gets the belt. It's the same people. So fast forward to these end times, we then have the daughter of Babylon. The daughter, Mystery Babylon is what it's called, daughter of Babylon. And then it comes, of course, there's all kinds of discussions as to who the daughter of Babylon is. But either case, whether people believe it's the U.S., whether people believe it's these elites, one thing's for sure, we know that this belt is being messed with by the world power. You get that? You see, hopefully you can see while I'm raising the alarm now. The Medes were used to whoop world powers. Now this world power is being dragged over and messing with the Medes. And the Medes are world power killers. That's the belt. Like that's their title. I know we all looking at, but Brother Benayah, but there's no way. Look, there's no telling when the Most High always uses like these small things to to destroy these big things, right? I'm just raising an alarm. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know, family. So let me finish this up because like I said, I know a lot of you all are at work and doing other things, but I just wanted to bring it up to you and just let you know that the Medes family, the Medes, anytime you hear about the Medes, take note. Take note. And I think I had Isaiah 14 here. Let's see. For Yahuwah, and this is Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. We'll read this real quick. For Yahuwah has mercy, for Yahuwah will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. Again, that speaks to those people that are saying Israel's been replaced. He's done with him. Y'all kept messing up. There's a new kid on the block. It's the church. And that doctrine came from Rome. The replacement theology came from Rome. That was after the the Roman Empire. This is like after the Messiah gets dead and resurrected, right? After the apostles get unalived, and then after these rebellions by Jerusalem, rebellions in Jerusalem by the people of Judah, right? So you had 70 AD, but then there was another case after that. Like there was always these rebellions, like the children of Israel during the time. Family, let me say, when it's one thing when you know who you are, and you know that you're the Most High's people, you don't put up with a whole lot. Like you'll take it for a little bit, be like, wait a minute, we got a covenant. What are y'all doing over here, right? And they kept raising up. So even after 70 AD, they kept raising up until the Roman emperor at the time. He's like, okay, kick them all out. Take all these all the children of the house of Judah, kick them out. All the Israelites, kick them out. I want them out. So he forbid them from even entering the land. Not only did he forbid them from entering the land, he forbid them from even looking upon their land. It was against the law for them to even look at it. That's what I'm saying, family. So, and this was Rome. Rome kicked them out. And when Rome kicked them out, the bishop at the time, who was, from the times of the Bible, had always been a member of the children of Israel. It had always been a member of the children of Israel. It wasn't until the emperor of Rome kicked out the Israelites, forbid them from coming into Jerusalem, forbid them from coming into the land, that this was the first time that the bishop, the leader of the church, was then for the first time a Roman. Now they were the rulers, the head of the church. This is also when we see that the Roman emperor calls himself the vicar of Christ, or the replacement of Christ. This is why he was like, you got to know that church history, family. This is where that replacement theology comes from. It comes from that period in time when the rebellion occurred over and over and over again in Jerusalem. Rome got fed up. They said, all right, all you Israelites, y'all going out. Everybody out. Kick them all out. All right, now I want my bishop in place. And then at that point, Israel was replaced by the Romans. At that point, there was spiritual Israel. And this is what you can actually find in the documents. In the documents, you find that after this event occurs is when Israel was replaced by the Roman Empire. Israel was replaced by spiritual Israel. Israel was replaced by people that weren't Israelites. True Israelites, right? This is where all that stuff comes from. It goes all the way back to that point, all the way back to the rebellion. So if you don't know the history, and the problem is that a lot of people don't know this history, and they just keep regurgitating the stuff that they heard in seminary school, the stuff that they were taught. But anyway, just putting it out there, family, that replacement theology is false doctrine. And of course, we can see in scripture over and over again that the Most High is still the Most High of Israel. Hallelujah. Verse 1, for Yahuwah will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. That promise is yet to come to pass. We are destined to be placed in our own land. We going back. If you want to stay here, fine. But the judge, just keep in mind that the judgment of Babylon is supposed to be so severe, so complete, that no man will be able to live here. So if you're trying to stay over here, either you're going to leave or you're going to be on the ground. I'll just put it to you that way. Because Babylon's judgment is going to be complete. It's going to be complete. They were the ones that they treated Israel so severe. They made skins, they made belts out of Israel's skin. They ate Israel. They cut off noses and eyes and ears and stuff. They drank Israel's blood. They took Israel's babies and fed them to alligators. They did all this stuff that they did to Israel, and they thought that none of that stuff was going to come back to bite them. All this stuff that they did to the children of Israel, right? Because a lot of people, we look at some of these scriptures that talk about, well, oh man, why does it say that the Most High is going to judge their children? Well, what we'll see in a second is that this is what they did. It's like what the Most High does. It's like whatever they did, it's, whatever they did to you is what's going to happen to them. Right. So all this stuff that they doing to you, it's going to come back to them sevenfold. That's why they so nervous. Anyway, but you can see it here. It says, for Yahuwah will have mercy on Jacob when yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall join. The strangers shall be joined with them. It's another thing. It's not just going to be Israel. It's going to be Israel plus strangers. That same formula is the same formula that you see when Israel came out of Egypt. You find this in the book of Joshua. And when he arranged the tribes before the Most High, right, before the tabernacle, Benjamin over here, Judah over there, Reuben over here, Naphtali over here, or Naphtaliites over here, like all the folks that's in that tribe, right? There was a section for the strangers. So it wasn't just Israel. I guess that's just for those who say, no, it's just Israel. No, it's not Israel. It's Israel plus those who would cleave unto Israel, who would follow the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, right? They're welcome among Israel. So it is inclusive. But unfortunately, folks hate Israel so much. They can't understand why they hate Israel so much. That's that Esau spirit. I'm just telling you, that's that Esau spirit. I don't know what's going to happen, for those folks. All right. So let's leave Isaiah chapter 14 and just hop over to Joel chapter 3 just for a little bit. And this is just to drive home the information that we were talking about as far as the children. So Joel 3, it says, for behold, in those days and in that time, it says, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Now, again, this is talking about the end times. And it says, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. So this isn't just a judgment just because, it's a judgment because of the children of Israel. That's the whole reason why this judgment is occurring. Just like what I told you, family, it's like people, they did all this stuff to Israel, stuck them on slave ships, stacked them like sardines in a can, throwing them overboard, fed their children to alligators, did all this wicked stuff to Israel, thinking that, I'm forgiven. We don't have to do nothing for that. There's no recompense for that. That's not what Joel says. That's not what Joel says. It says, I will gather together, that's verse 2, I will gather together all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel. Well, wait a minute. I thought Israel was no longer his heritage and his people. That's not what Joel says. I'm telling you, that whole replacement theology came from the Roman Empire when they expelled the children of Judah, they expelled the children of Israel, and they put in for the very first time the Roman Empire, and the emperor of Rome took on the title of the vicar of Christ, the replacement of Christ. That's the origin of replacement theology. Anyway, it says, verse 2, I will gather our nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Remember Trump talking about I'm going to take over Gaza. Oh, I'm going to put some golf courses over there. That's prime real estate. That's some good real estate. Remember them talking about that? That's some good real estate. Well, it looks according to Joel chapter 3, like that's not something that you need to be doing. It says, and parted my land. So he's the Most High saying the reason why he's gathering these nations from I'm looking at the very first part of verse 2. The reason why he's gathering the nations is 1, because of what they did to the Most High's people. And then 2, because they messed with his land. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying, family. Messing with the Most High's land is not a small thing. We can also find this in Obadiah. I don't have Obadiah scripture pulled up, but even in Obadiah, he brings up the fact that they messing with his land. I'm just saying. And it says verse 3, and have cast lots for my people. Oh, now this is talking about slavery. And have cast lots for my people. That sounds like you selling somebody. And have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. So you're selling people? Not just any people. It says you sold lots for my people. The Most High has some get back coming for some of these people. And it says, verse 4, yea, it says, what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? in all the coast of Palestine. Will you render me a recompense? Or if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your whole head? Why? Why is the Most High doing this? Verse 5, because you have taken my silver and my gold and carried away into your temple my goodly, pleasant things. Like I told you before, there's literally the Ark of Titus over in Italy, where it shows them carrying away the Most High silver and golden implements, taking them away. They're showing happy statues, happy statues of them bragging about. They're literally bragging about taking the Most High's silver and gold, literally bragging about it. Verse 6, the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold what? Unto the Grecians? Wait, they're talking about slavery again. I thought slavery was forgiven. And now we know who they were selling them to. The Grecians. The Grecians. Who are the Grecians? Who are the children, the offspring of the Grecians? That you might remove them far from their borders. Let me just read the whole thing again. It says, the children also of Judah, the children of Jerusalem, have you sold unto the Grecians. Now, this is the Most High bringing that up. For all the people saying that this is water under the bridge, that we don't need to be talking about this anymore. Y'all, man, y'all always talking about this slavery stuff. Y'all always bringing it up. Can't we just move on? Can't y'all just move on to something else? I mean, that happened so long ago. Here's the Most High bringing up slavery of his people after the fact. After the fact, the Most High is bringing this up. The children of Judah, the children of Jerusalem, have you sold unto the Grecians that you might remove them far from their borders. Then now, did the Most High just forgive them? It says, behold, I will raise them out of the places where you sold them, and I will return your recompense upon your own head. So there you go again, family. I'm telling you, what the Most High does is that whatever you do to the children of Israel, he gonna take that and then he gonna put it on you sevenfold. This is why folks are getting nervous when we start waking up. This is why folks get nervous when we start saying things like, oh no, we Israel. Identity extremists. He's an identity extremist. Just for me saying that I'm Israel? It's because of what comes after that. It's because of what, according to the scriptures, comes along with you identifying that you Israel. Because you Israel, and they did all that stuff to you, well, then that means that all this stuff, this recompense, has to be returned upon the heads of those that did this to Israel. And it says, verse 8, it says, and I will sell your sons, not the babies, not the kids, and I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah. I remember I watched this video, and it was this I guess it's a apologist, a Christian apologist. He's talking about how he don't believe the Most High. He's like, I can't believe a Bible where he does all that to the children, to the kids. Why are the children getting all messed up? It's because that's what was that was what the curses were. The curses dealt with the children. Part of the curses. Remember Deuteronomy 28? And this is verse 41. And this is the curses. And it says, you shall beget sons and daughters, but you shall not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Like that was the curse. Is Israel didn't do what we were supposed to do, the Most High was going to take our children and sell them. This is one of the things I tell people about the transatlantic slave trade, is that the depictions of the transatlantic slave trade are false. And what I mean by that is that there's this thing called the transatlantic slave trade database. And what I did, fam, is that I went over to that database and I downloaded you can actually download a spreadsheet of all the people that they have in the transatlantic slave trade database. And these are all the people that were slaves, all the people that were being sold, that they were capped, or that they were able to capture. I think it's like about 96,000 people in that database. And the thing that I did, family, was that I took a look at the ages of those people and I put them into categories. I said, well, how many of these people, of our brothers and sisters, were, from were infants, 0 to 3? How many of our brothers and sisters were in elementary school age? How many of our brothers and sisters were in, middle school and high school age? How many of our brothers and sisters that were in slavery were, young adults, people in college, right? Or just a little bit past college, in their upper early to late 20s. Did you know that, like, I think it was something like 80 to 90% of the people that was in the transatlantic slave trade database were from 20 years and less, like in their 20s or younger. That was like 80 to 90% of the people that was in the transatlantic slave trade database. In other words, it was the children that were on these slave ships. It was the children that were being laid up like sardine in a can. It was the children. Like I said, the transatlantic slave trade was way worse than what's depicted on movies. In movies, they depict a bunch of grown folks. No, family. It was children. And this is why when you see judgment coming, this is why you see judgment upon the children. Like it says, Most High says, and I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah. Why? Because they did that. And it says, and they shall sell them to the Sabaeans, to a people far off. They'd be like, you can go with them. For Yahuwah has spoken it. Now that sounds like something. That sounds like it's like saying, now that is that. That's it. But for Yahuwah has spoken it. You may not like it. You may not agree with it. For Yahuwah has spoken it. It is coming to pass. And it says, and then after Yahuwah said what he's going to do, now he's going to tell people, he's like, you don't agree with it? Proclaim you to the Gentiles. Prepare for war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of the war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords. I'm in verse 10. And your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. Assemble yourselves and come, you all you heathen. It's like, all you heathens, and come gather yourselves together and round about. Y'all, all y'all come, just gather yourselves around. Just come on down. And it says round about, it says, thither calls thy mighty ones to come down. You bragging about you got this plane that does this. You bragging about you got this ship that does that. Okay, just bring it all down. Bring that ship down, that special ship. Bring that stuff that you say you got from the aliens, from the fallen angels. Yeah. Bring all that stuff down. All your new stuff. Like don't hold back, right? Don't hold back. Bring all your brand new stuff. Bring it down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and we're gonna work this out. And it says, let the heathen, verse 12, let the heathen be awakened. It says, come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. So it says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. You're going to need that new spaceship to go against the Most High. You're going to need that new battleship to try to do something to the Most High. You're going to need all that. I'm just letting you know. If you think you're just going to show up with some old stuff, you might want to rethink is what I'm telling you. I'm just saying. It says, Yahuwah says, he says, let the heathen wake. He says, for there will I sit to judge. Now, if Yahuwah is saying that he's going to be sitting in the valley of Jehoshaphat to judge the heathen, I'm just saying I wouldn't go. I'm not going there. I don't count myself among the heathen. I'm just saying. But I'm just saying, if you're going to go heathens, take your new stuff. I'm just saying you might want to take your new stuff because the Most High, he's not going to hold back. I'm just saying he's not going to hold back. He's not going to negotiate. You can't pay him off. You won't be able to come over and say, well, you know what? I'll give you your land back for a price. Nah, that's his land. That's like taking somebody's car and saying, I know I stole your car, but I'm gonna sell it back to you at half off. Nah, that's not gonna work. The Most High has to make some sacrifice. He calls it making sacrifices. He's gonna make some sacrifices. That's what he's gonna do. He's gonna make some sacrifices. Verse 13, put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. It says, for their wickedness is great. 14, multitudes in the valley of decision. So maybe they think they're gonna overwhelm the Most High with numbers because they got 100,000 or 1,000,000 man army with some brand new stuff. It says, multitudes in the valley of the decision, for the day of Yahuwah is near. In the valley of decision, verse 15, the sun and the moon shall be darkened. The stars shall withdraw their shining. Yahuwah shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But Yahuwah will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. Hallelujah. Family, Israel is not forsaken. This is talking about end times right here. This is talking about end times. This is talking about reparations, redemption, and recompense for people that were sold to the Grecians. Don't forget about those earlier verses. This is all part of the same book. This is talking about reparations, redemption, recompense for people that were sold to the Grecians, that were sold for a boy with, you saw, they were sold for wine, that were sent into slavery. This is talking about those people in the valley of decision in the last days. And the Most High himself, it says, verse 16, and the Most High shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. And it says, but Yahuwah will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. So shall you know that I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy. There shall no strangers pass through her anymore. No more golf courses. No more debauchery. No more wickedness. None of that stuff. When this happens, all that goes away. It's going back to being a holy, righteous land. Verse 18. And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, that the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters, and a fountain shall come forth of the house of Yahuwah and shall water the valley of Shittim. And I just have to read this again on verse 18. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day. What will happen in that day? That the mountains shall drop new wine. What will happen in that day? The hills shall flow with milk. When shall the hills flow with milk? In that day. And the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters. When shall that happen? In that day. What day are we talking about? We're talking about the day after Yahuwah's judgment. The day after his judgment, the mountains shall drop down new wine. The day after his judgment, the hills shall flow with milk. The day around this time of judgment, and all the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters, and the fountains shall come forth of the house of Judah and shall water the valley of Shittim. Verse 19, Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness. Why would Egypt be a desolation and Edom be a desolate wilderness? Why is that? He's going to answer in the same verse. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. George Floyd, all these things that they're doing to the children of Judah and counting themselves not guilty. The Most High has a recompense of that. He's saying because they have shed innocent blood. The Most High has took note and is going to bring them in their brand spanking new weapons to the valley of Jehoshaphat and invite them to come round about and have multitudes in the valley of decision. And the Most High will judge them. And it says, verse 20, but Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed. For Yahuwah dwelleth in Zion. Hallelujah. That is the prophecy that is yet to come to pass for the children of Judah, the house of Judah. And remember, The prerequisite, remember, like, we know that the Medes, who they're the belt of the Most High, they're the ones that take out the world. Whoever's dominating the world at that time, the Medes are the one that's take them out. Babylon, Assyria. And so now you have mystery Babylon in these last days. And so now you see folks messing with the Medes. And I'm just saying, as a brother watchman, I'm saying, hey, family, I'm just letting you know, they checking some boxes over here. They checking some boxes as far as, this thing kind of lined up with prophecy. You got somebody that might be the daughter of Babylon. You got somebody, we got folks that we know are the Medes. I'm just saying, get ready. I'm just saying, when Israel left out of Egypt, they had to leave in a hurry, didn't they? Unleavened bread. They had to bake. They had to get their stuff real quick. And they're talking about when Babylon gets judged, it's going to happen fast. In 1 hour, boom, done. If you live an hour away from work, by the time you leave work and get home, it's going to be over with. They're going to be talking about what they call post-mortem. Like, did you see what happened? It's over with. You just see this smoke just everywhere. So I'm just saying, family, this is your brother Benayah. Like I said, I do not claim to be a prophet. I don't know what's going to happen next week. I don't know what's going to happen this weekend. I'm just saying this thing is lining up. So just be prepared. How they said, just like in the days of Noah, folks wasn't the thing to take away from the days of Noah, family, is that people weren't paying attention. The signs were right there in their face, and they didn't pay attention until it actually happened. So that's the message for today. But all right, family. But hey, thank you for tuning in again. I know it's in the middle of the day. Big shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Let me hop back over to the chats. I'll see some super chats. So Sunny Lion 42. Thank you for your super chat. Thank you, sister. Cool Chicks. Peace and blessings. We love a hidden Hebrew shirt. Oh, praise be the Most High. Thank you, Cool Chick. Really appreciate that. Now I'll pull that back up as well, just so that you all can see it. Again, I do have some kind of branching out into the merchandise industry. I was selling some merch earlier, but the shirt designs were different. The t-shirt designs were different. But hopefully, they're a little bit better. Still got some more on the way, but this is just the first batch of t-shirts. Just in time for spring, just in time for the weather warming up, depending on where you are in the country. I think there's some warmer weather right around the corner. Eric Tinsley, 5777. Peace and blessings. Thank you, my brother, for your super chat. Much appreciated. Thank you. D. Bryce, I think. Hopefully I pronounced that hopefully properly. Thank you for your super chat. Much appreciated. Remember the holy covenant. Hallelujah. Yes, indeed. And yes, Eric, like brother Eric Tinsley said, Israel for Israel. Like all these things where they're always trying to say Israel's done away with, Israel's no more, y'all been replaced and all that other stuff. We gonna see. We are going to see, Most High willing, coming in these last days. And like I said, just before we wrap up, let me just hopefully I didn't close my screen out. I just want to show you, just for the benefit of those who have joined late, and show you we have a conference coming up, African Israelite Justice Foundation. There's a virtual conference, so you don't have to drive anywhere. This is March the 8th at 2 p.m. Eastern. In preparation for all this crazy stuff that's going on in Israel and around Israel, just trying to get together and do some things such as food preparation and some other practical preparation that you can do around the house. So we have two guest speakers on that, and I think that that may last probably like about 3 hours or so. But also, because we are a nonprofit organization, the other part or the reason for the hope of the conference is to be a fundraiser. So if you can attend, please, or even if you can't attend, just ask that you donate as well, and that'll help us be able to do things like when they pulled the SNAP program. We were actually moving in the background to set up a network for those people that were impacted by SNAP. When they put it back in the last weekend, we didn't move forward with it, but we still have the roadmap in place of how to be able to serve our people with food in the case that there's a disruption of food. So that's you'll hear a lot of information on that in this conference. So yeah, if you can join, please join. If not, if you just want to donate towards the cause, feel free to join as well, or donate as well. And then the other thing is what I shared with people before. Of course, you may have heard that Tucker Carlson and Senator Huckabee had their big interview or debate, or whatever you want to call it. And of course, Huckabee was saying that, he's trying to say that, the people over there they're the true Israelites. Well, if you want to be able to shut Huckabee up, definitely check out my book, Black History Case Files. Also have, also there's a special edition that's out there, family. It just has like 3 extra chapters in there. One with MLK, the information about MLK, and 2 other ones in there. So it has everything that the first one has, but it just has some extra chapters in there, and just a slightly different. You can see a slightly different cover design on there. And then the other book is Who Are the Biblical Israelites? Let me type that in. Who are the biblical Israelites? So we have this one as well. This one focuses on primarily the Kesh relief, and then all the supporting information that shows that we are the true children of Israel. So, if you hop onto one of those chats with Huckabee or Tucker Carlson talking about spiritual Israel and all this other stuff, feel free to use this book as a reference, because I do have some pretty good references in there that will show you that we are the children of Israel, and that these other folks not so much. All right, and then the last thing, family, is like our sister was talking about. I do have some merchandise out there. You can find these links in the description of this video, and that reminds me, I need to put some more information in there. But just have some new merchandise in there, just for instance, so water bottles, caps, and t-shirts. So a couple of new t-shirt designs in there. So if you're interested and you want to support, this is just one of the ways that you can support, whether it be through purchasing merchandise, or you can even just either purchase or just stream the song. Like there's a new song that's out, Babylon Gonna Fall. So if you just stream that song on Spotify or something like that, add it to your playlist, or even just any of the hidden Hebrew songs, just add it to a playlist. Maybe there's 1 or 2 songs in there that's quality enough to be added to your playlist. Just add it to your playlist, and just by you playing that when you go to the gym, or playing that whenever you're doing something else, that really does help as well. So just throwing that out there, family. And again, shout out to those Patreon supporters. Thank you, family. Definitely have something coming out for our Patreon supporters. The audio book is coming. It is coming. I know I said it was going to be in January, but things just got pushed back, family. So just having to push that back a little bit further, because I did have to redo a whole lot in that audio book. So had to start off from scratch pretty much. So anyway, but yeah, should have that out to our Patreon supporters soon, as well as our Hebrew Connect .tv family as well. So just throwing that out there too. So all right, but that's it. Rambling on enough. Thank you for being over here, family. And I guess we will catch you next time. And peace and blessings and shalom. And actually, let me had this video loaded up, but when lost internet connectivity, actually lost my video. So let me add the outro video back, and we will close out on this. This is the new single that's out, Babylon Gonna Fall.
Babylon clock ticking. Can you hear that sound? What? Trumpets in the distance. Walls about to come down. Fire in the heavens. Rumble in the ground. Babylon clock ticking. Judgment coming round.
Yeah. Red line on the map, we was born in the margins. Grandma with a fan, whole row full of martyrs. Preachers say repent, judge say charge them. Same rope, same gavel, same target on our fathers. Concrete cotton, we was chained to the projects. Food stamp books, broke school, broken prospects. Still we sang psalms in a shotgun duplex. Trouble don't last, but it sure came ruthless. They built their thrones on our unpaid labor, turned our grief into glamour, our pain into paper. But the last gon' laugh and the first gon' laugh. This run gon' live today. Babylon. Babylon, Babylon gone. Heard sirens sing like a counterfeit choir. Wrong names carved in a chalk outline flyer. Judge bang wood, but the books say higher. Every crooked law meet a holy empire. White stone steeple, brown hands in the rafters. They wrote our death in their history chapters, but we still shout loud, still flip them factors. Blessed be the broke, that's the new hereafter. Babylon built off of black child's coffin, off of grandmother's tears, off of father's losses. But the scales tip slow, then they move like coffins. When a trump sound once, every fraud start coughing. I see chains fall off in the middle of the service. See the last bank close, all that greed make them nervous. This the verdict, kingdom for the ones they deserted. When the meek take streets, whole system inverted. Yeah, Babylon gon' fall, can't stand that fire. You can't buy God, can't bribe that choir. We done cried too long, we done bled that wide. Now the sky crack open, whole block yell higher. Babylon gon' fall, walls shake dust. Every last lie turn back to dust. We still gon' rise in this God we trust. Say down, you say fall down. Babylon, Babylon gon' fall. How long till the trumpets ring? How long till the free folks sing? How long till the proud kings swing from the thrones they stole, from the crowns they bring? Yeah, Babylon gon' fall, can't stand that fire. You can't buy God, can't buy that wine. We done cried too long, we done bled that wide. Now the sky crack open, whole block yell higher. Babylon gon' fall, walls shake dust. Every last lie turn back to dust. We still gon' rise in this God we trust. Say down, you say fall down. Babylon, Babylon gon' fall.